Welcome back to another episode of Office Talk. I'm your host, Annette Stepanian, and in this week's episode, we're going to be chatting with Lesley Clavijo, who is an email marketing strategist. Now, I wanted to bring her on because we're in 2020 right now, and I wanted to see, is email marketing still a thing? Should we be exploring other options? I've been in business now, gosh, how long has it been? I'm like doing the math for about 7 years on my own. And just thinking about what I was taught in the beginning of business, is email marketing, email marketing. Well, things have changed a lot, right? We have Instagram, we had Facebook and Instagram back then, but the way we're using it now is so different. So I wanted to touch base with her to see what's changed, what's still working, what's new. And so, with that said, let's dive into this conversation with Lesley Clavijo. Hey, Lesley, thanks so much for being with me today.
I am so excited to be here. I can't wait to chat. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. I wanted to have you on because we've gotten to know each other over the last year or so, I think, and we've connected a lot on a lot of different levels. But you are someone who I think of who really understands email marketing and just kind of where things are going. And so I wanted to have you on to give our listeners just kind of like the state of the union when it comes to email marketing. But before we dive in, why don't you just introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name is Lesley Clavijo, and I have a website called leslieclavijo.com. And I am what I call an email marketing strategist. So, I specialize in building an email list, but start to finish, going from developing the lead magnet, nurturing your list, growing your list. But I want to make sure that you're doing it all in the correct order, because a lot of times people focus so much on getting all those people on your list before you have all the pieces of the puzzle put together first. And if you don't have the pieces put together first, then you're oftentimes just growing this list full of people that get ignored. And then when you're ready to launch, it just is a big womp womp and nothing happens. So I teach, the whole entire strategy around how to grow and nurture your list. And the other thing I kind of like to specialize in is that it doesn't really matter the size of your list. It matters what you do with your list. That's what really counts at the end of the day. Because I've had a lot of success launching and selling to very small, kind of like micro list is what I like to call them.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I know that a lot of us who have been doing this for a while know it's almost like email marketing is like the tried and true way to market to people. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think as we kind of stand here in 2020 at the beginning of a new decade, which is wild in and of itself, do you think email marketing is still the is a really key component of just marketing in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, everybody who specializes in something is going to say, this is not going away. So, like an Instagram specialist, an email marketing specialist, a Facebook specialist. But I think they all work together. So, I would never just say focus only on email marketing, because, we can't ignore that Instagram brings in great leads, and they bring them into our email marketing funnel. Same with Facebook, same with Pinterest and our website. All of those things work together so well. But email marketing is here to stay. It's been around for a really long time, and I don't think it's going to go away. I just think we have to make sure that we're always, paying attention to what we're doing with email marketing, and we're not just following old, outdated tactics or techniques. We're always kind of testing new things, trying different things, and paying attention to what our subscribers are doing, and being reactive and proactive to what they're doing and making changes accordingly.
So, what are some of those old techniques that you see are no longer working? Or maybe another way to phrase the question is, what are some of the things that you are seeing that are working really well?
Well, I'll answer both. So one of the things that I would say that it's outdated or oversaturated really is if you're seeing that, so what I see a lot of times is people they'll either take a course or they'll read a book, and a guru or a specialist will say, try to write this type of email, and they'll give a template and even an email title, and suggest to everybody to send out that type of email, and then everybody does it, and then it becomes oversaturated and totally
Predictable.
just predictable and kind of useless. So, I would suggest not doing that. If you want to kind of like mimic that type of format, switch it up, change it up a little bit, but don't use the exact same template, the exact same title that those gurus are teaching you in their course, their platform, or in their marketing book. Um, so what was the other question you asked me? Now I can't remember. I said I'm going to answer both of them.
If you see, so what's not working? What are some of the old techniques that are no longer working? And the reverse being like, well, what is working?
Yeah.
Maybe
So what
old
is
or new.
working?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So what is working? So what is working is really paying attention to the actions that your subscribers are actually taking. So what I really pay attention to is what are people clicking on with like inside of my email. So I come from the blogosphere. Like I was a blogger a long time ago, and we were always taught, look at your Google Analytics. What are your top viewed blog posts? Well, email's very much like that. Like you can see stats within your emails. You can see what people are clicking on, what people are replying to. Pay attention to that. Look at your open rates. What are the emails that people were opening the most? What are those titles? What really resonated with them? So keep paying attention to those things, take notes, and adjust your marketing to that.
Awesome. So one of the things that we've all been taught is the whole, lead magnets, right? Give away something for free and then get them on your email list and then nurture them, nurture them, nurture them, and then, introduce a service or a product that they can purchase. Is that something, what are your thoughts on that? Do you still find that that's an effective way to go?
So yes and no. So if you're creating the wrong type of lead magnet, then it's not going to work. So I've worked with a lot of clients and a lot of students that have no real strategy to the type of lead magnet that they're creating, and it doesn't align to the offer that they're either immediately offering right after the lead magnet. It's often called like a tripwire, or it doesn't align to the higher price offer that they're offering down the line. It also needs to make sure that it's creating a sense of like interest. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to just give away like everything that's going to be in that paid offer. We really want to stir that desire behind like what it is that we're going to be offering them and make them want to go into the paid offer. Here's the thing, there's a lot of people teaching now that we don't even need lead magnets anymore, that we can just offer, just go straight to the offer, run a Facebook ad straight to the offer. And I don't see a problem with that, except there are a lot of people that are just now starting a business that have no idea what to offer. And so then they go and create these offers and they just bomb. And what I hate seeing is people spending, 3 to 6 months creating courses or digital ebooks or workbooks or whatever, and then they try to pitch them to a new subscriber base and they don't sell whatsoever. And so what I teach is creating a really strong lead magnet, nurturing that lead, and using our email list to understand what it is that we should offer them. Because I teach a lot of newer, business owners. So if you want to just go straight for the offer, that's for me for more advanced business owners that already understand, already have a subscriber base, already know what to offer. If you don't know what to offer, ooh, that's a little scary. That you may be wasting a lot of time.
So then what would you recommend? So let's talk about that newbie business owner. They don't really know what to offer. You're saying use the email sequence to nurture and to basically communicate and understand what people need. So where do you start? Do you just throw a few different lead magnets out there to see what resonates? Like how do you, if you don't know what your offer is yet, how do you reverse engineer and create a lead magnet?
So I usually suggest starting with a core lead magnet. I call it an ideal incentive. So whatever your business is, which now most people understand that we should really niche down. So it should be more of a specific, your business should be more specific. So if you're a parenting coach, um, I'm just going to give an example, then what's an ideal incentive that the majority of the people coming to your website on your home page would say, ooh, I really want to opt in for that right now. Okay. So it needs to be very specific to who it is that you're trying to work with right now as a parenting coach. Okay. Because that's your niche. And then you'll get them on their list, and then we'll start surveying them and communicating with them and getting more of their language and their information so that we can then understand what it is, the product that we want to develop. Okay, does that make sense? So a lot of times, let's say you're already a coach and you're offering a service, but you're wanting to get into that digital product creation, but you really don't know what that looks like. That's where this lead magnet and the nurture sequence and the surveys are really going to help you better understand what that product is going to, what need that product's going to fulfill for those people on your list.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the idea of like, well, I should be hanging out where everybody else is hanging out. And so if your audience is primarily hanging out on Instagram, right? It takes so much more effort to get someone to come off of Instagram, to come onto your website, to opt in, right? Wouldn't you just want to serve that lead magnet-ish content, your ideal incentive using that platform?
What do you mean? Like,
I,
explain that to me a little bit more. Like,
what I'm trying to get at is I feel like the more steps that a user needs to take, or I don't know what I'm calling a user, a potential customer or lead needs to
uh-huh.
take, you're going to lose them in the process, right? Because I think we've all become kind of lazy on social media, right? We're just like so used to scrolling, and if I have to like click out and then put in my email and then go check my email and confirm, like I'm just not going to be doing that as much as I would unless I like really 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 needed that information. But I find myself, I don't opt in as much. It's more of I just want to stay on that one platform and consume the content, whether it's through stories or through some brands do really good jobs about educating just in the post itself. Do you, I guess I don't, my question is, do you feel that that content could be better communicated using a certain platform's tools and to grow your audience versus still trying to do the whole lead magnet um, approach?
Yeah, well, I think that so for my strategy, what I always do, because listen, I back in the day grew a Facebook page over 25,000 um, fans, and I developed a physical product and I launched and it bombed because I had no email list. Because when I posted on there, like what, 5 people saw it? Woo, yay. So, and here's the thing. So that the whole thing with Instagram and with all the other social media platforms is they're great platforms, but at the end of the day, like you'll hear again and again, anybody that teaches email marketing is that you don't have control over those algorithms. You don't have control over how many people are seeing them. And the percentage of people that are going to see what you're posting on Instagram is nothing compared to what they're going to see on the email list, right? And so what my goal is to, yeah, provide that same kind of content. I start with the email list, and then I'm use the whatever I'm creating on my email list, like in my broadcast is what I call them. So like my weekly newsletter, I'm going to repurpose that and put that in on Instagram in stories and repurpose that there. But I'm always driving people onto my email list as well. So they'll get it in multiple places, but I'll also repurpose it in a way where they're getting the message delivered differently. But I always want to try to get people on my email list, no matter if it's through signing up to watch my masterclass or if it's to get a lead magnet or through a Facebook ad or Instagram ad or anything like that, because I know once they're on my email list, I can use that for retargeting for ads. I have them. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah, it's almost like in person, it's like having an in-person coffee date with someone versus like sending a text message, right? So
Right.
like the core communication and relationship is in the email, like through the email inbox. And
Yeah.
then kind of the tangential touch points are on your Instagram. Like that's like the keeping in touch kind of just want to keep in touch and say, hey, how's it going? But I don't have time for a full coffee date today. But
Right.
here's like a little snippet here on Instagram. I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but it does to me.
No,
So,
totally. And a lot of times people will ask for, just like they'll PM me and just ask me for a link for whatever resource it is they want. And, they'll go to, they don't have to go find it on my page because I do direct links to the download page and they just go to that and they, sign up and get it delivered to their inbox. They're still getting on my list, but they don't have to go search on my homepage and figure out what it is that they're looking for, if that makes sense.
yeah,
It's very specific.
yeah. So, what about the more advanced business owner who has kind of this core suite of products? Maybe has a really messy list because their business and they have evolved over time. Maybe they started, to your point, like doing parenting coaching, but now that's evolved into something much more niche that may or may not apply to their list. Like, what advice do you have for those people to uh, rethink their funnel, rethink their list, clean up their list? Like, where do they start? What's a kind of a basic roadmap that they can follow to be like, okay, I know who I am now. I know what my business does. I know who I'm targeting. How do I set this up the right way?
Really start sending emails that are branded and just reintroducing yourself and who you are now, and use segmenting. So just you can create links within the email that are going to ask people like, are you interested in this or this? And you can have them tagged. Or if it's just like, I'm going in this direction. If you're not interested anymore, just unsubscribe, or if you don't unsubscribe, I'll be unsubscribing you. But you know what I mean? Like, just, and it doesn't have to be that blunt, like, but you're obviously telling them what direction you're going in now, and what it is you're offering. But if you have different types of offers now, or different types of audiences that you're serving, and there's several, then you can definitely do, like I said, create those different segments and those links, and create tags based on those links, and have people clicking on them so that it's segmenting them and it's reorganizing your email database, I guess is what we would call it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just start cleaning out the back cleaning out the back end
And
of
I
the
am not talking about personal experience here.
no, of course not.
But yeah, tackling that email list, it can be tough sometimes because it's
Yeah.
just all over the place. As organized as I think I am, sometimes, you know, the software itself can be confusing, and you're like, I don't know what I did. I think I once like deleted a whole list once accidentally,
Oh yeah, that can
unsubscribed a
happen.
whole bunch of people, and I'm like, great, that was awesome.
I have even made my own mistakes. I think so. Last week I have an automated newsletter, and I sent it, and I didn't realize I wasn't putting stops in correctly, and and 450 people got 3 emails one after the other because the stops weren't put in
I've
correctly.
done that before
It
too.
dropped everybody through the funnel like in 5 minutes, and I was like, I am so
I've
sorry.
done that too. I know. And it's so nice. I do want to like give a shout out to those people who email me every once in a while and like highlight like a mistake, you know?
Oh, nobody even emailed me. I only knew because I opened my email and I had 3 emails from myself back to back to back, and I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, it's just it's a it's a process. So it's very refreshing to hear from someone who, this is what you do. Even, we all make mistakes, right? And so I don't feel so bad now when I make those kind of have those oversights as well, but we do the best we can here.
I'm always working in other people's funnels, and I'm rarely in my own account. And then I look and I'm like, oh, great.
You're like, oops. Yeah, I ran a promotion recently and I was like, why am I not getting the emails? Like, I know I'm on my email list, and then I realized I was targeting like not the complete lit. Like I thought it was going out to everybody who's on my lit, like in my database, but it's only going out to specific lists. And I was like, ah, but you live and you learn.
It can be very confusing, especially when you start getting into this segmenting and targeting inside of your email campaign. But the good thing is you're doing that, which is very important. And a lot of times people don't do that, and they always just send out emails to their entire list and forget to exclude customers when they're doing like promotions about a product. So just to touch base on that, if you guys are selling products, if your audience is selling products, one of the very first things, a lot of times people ask me, like, what is segmenting? How can I segment? The very first thing you do is don't send emails to your entire list if there are things that people have already gotten on your list. You want to make sure you're always segmenting your list of people that have gotten things and have not gotten things. So let's say you have a lead magnet. Let's say that you haven't sold anything yet, but you have a lead magnet and 50 out of 100 people have gotten it. So you want to make sure those 50 people don't get it and the other 50 people get it. And that's one thing I see a lot of new people making that mistake, is that they're always sending all emails to everybody on their email list, and they're not segmenting people out that have already either previously opted in for something or previously purchased something or whatnot. So we want to be very careful to not email people. We want to segment those people out.
What do you think about the frequency of emails too? Because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I try and pay attention to, as a subscriber, what I like from other people, and then kind of take those lessons into what I do. But it's not based on any data. It's just like kind of, well, I don't want to be emailed twice a week to hear about your podcast episode. So like maybe I shouldn't be emailing twice a week telling you about all this stuff. But I don't know, is there something that you know of, like from data, with more data behind it, of what's effective or not? Or it's just,
no,
again,
I don't
goes
have
down.
any like I don't have any like data source. I think you have to go off of like your own audience. Like you have to go off of your own stats because every audience, every niche, niche is going to be different. And so, what's funny is I'm like you, like I kind of sometimes get like really excited when I see somebody pop into my inbox that I haven't seen in forever. And I'm like, oh, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, you haven't emailed me in forever. But then other times I'm like, oh, it's her once a month email, but she's consistent. So I'm like, that's fine. But if it's somebody that's like once every 4 months and then it's like once every 2 months and it's like so inconsistent, I'm like, oh, I'm unsubscribed because this feels very like flaky. But then there's other people that I'll get like 2 or 3 emails a week. And if it's really good content, it doesn't bother me. So I
Yeah.
think it really just depends on the content and the value of it. If it's salesy and it's constant, like buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, and there's no value to it, then yeah, I won't even like you just kind of go like, that Febreze commercial, that nose blind, you kind of just go like email blind. Like I'm just like,
That's how I feel about like the retail emails that come out. Like
yes,
I get like, some of them every day, like, bye bye baby. So I'm pregnant at the time of this recording. So I've been, on their email list, and they send me like every day, like supposedly this new 20% off coupon.
you're like, it's not new. I'm
It's
400
not new. Like every day I don't need to hear about this 20% coupon. But then of course, when you want to buy something, you're like, where's that 20% coupon?
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
That's awesome. So, how can people like work with you if they're like, okay, this is my year. I'm gonna like figure out this whole email marketing thing. Um, what kind of resources or services do you provide?
Yeah, so the best way, especially if you're starting out or if you're struggling with email marketing, is to hop over to leslieclavijo.com and you just scroll down a little bit and you'll see my masterclass, and just watch my masterclass. It's going to teach you just a lot about how email marketing works and how we can use it to our advantage to really learn about our ideal customer and how the whole the whole system as a whole works. So I would suggest watching my masterclass, and then I go into my program at the very end. I'm very transparent about that. Like I will introduce my program to you, and if you're interested, then you can sign up right there and right then. But yeah, just hop over to leslieclavijo.com and you will find my masterclass if you're not interested in that. I have an email marketing getting started guide. It's just like right there on my website. We'll teach you the basics of email marketing, and you can sign up for that there as well.
Awesome. Before we sign off, do you have any like last minute tips or advice you'd give people when it comes to email marketing, business, whatever, life?
Oh gosh, we won't talk about life because I'm not
That's
one to
a
give life advice.
that's a whole other episode, right?
That's a whole different episode. But yeah, so I think what I would talk about as far as business, because you and I've been doing this a long time, is just what I see, and I'm going to get kind of like I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. Is I think more than anything, people get so stuck in perfection mode and worrying about getting the perfect email marketing freebie out there, the perfect nurture sequence, or the perfect product, or the perfect webinar, the perfect whatever out there, and that just stops them from ever getting anything done. And at the end of the day, nothing I've ever put out is perfect. You've got to get something out there and then make changes to it later. And that's it. Just like stop living imperfect. Like just stop letting perfection stop you. That's the biggest thing that I see my students struggle with. And I'll just leave you with this: whose version of perfect are you waiting for? Because if it's your own, I don't know if you'll ever get there. And a lot of times, what you have created is already perfect for everybody else. And they'll tell you this was perfect. And you've just been sitting on your thing forever because you think it's not perfect enough.
That's awesome. I'm like literally writing this down. So I can turn it into a graphic and post it on social media and credit you because I think it's a really important reminder, regardless of if it's email marketing or business or just personal stuff, is yeah, whose version of perfect are you waiting for?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
exactly. Yeah.
Good advice, Lesley. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank
I
you.
love chatting with you.
Thank you. Same. Thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
There you have it. If you'd like to connect with Lesley, I'm going to spell out her name because, like my name, it's a little difficult to spell. So that's LesleyClavijo.com. Of course, you can always find the show notes and more details and links to our guest's website and resources over at AnnetteStepanian.com. Thanks so much for listening in, and I'll talk to you next time.